Okay, hello again.
Good luck. Who dares?
So I should stick on Zato again,
Slayer.
as usual.
Zato. Get ready to heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
You know, how do I win against your character as Mei? You surprisingly don't ape very hard. I think that matchup, you do have to kind of show constraints, which is odd because a lot of matchups against Zato you actually do the opposite, which is you ape and you win. The problem with Mei is that you have a secondary incentive, which is to set up your summons, and that against Zato, it's like you both have roughly the same like reward structure for setting up your summon, whatever it may be. Like for Zato, it's doing like kind of even doing drill is considered it. Like doing a drill and having it work safely is kind of like having a summon. But the important part being, both characters in that matchup have ways, they have their own ways to interrupt each other's summons. So like the whole RPS is kind of focused around that. I see such a vague question. They have open. I chose one possible answer to your question. I hope it was at least somewhat helpful. That combo. I've lost so much of my sense of which combo to go for over time. I think just because I'm not playing, that's also weird to go for. I'm choosing really weird combo routes now. I think it's because I'm just not playing the game as much. That was a nice 2D whiff, by the way, as intended by Daisuke, so that Zato cannot ever be happy. It was a good answer because you just led me into the right direction. That's good to hear. The most helpful thing is if you give me VODs, and then there will be more specific things I can look at. Post that works if you charge fast enough.
Duel 2. Keep on rocking. It's not only
So many of these 2Hs also. They should never be actually killing Eddie.
heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Weird. He's blocking in a way that's like very unexpected from Slayer.
All or nothing.
Got him. He might die. No, not quite. He wants to get in real bad. So it becomes very telegraphed. I don't have any VODs to send because the Zalto player that's in EU, I can only play him in open lobbies. I see. The only thing I can show you is a 30-second clip of me 2-touching him. Mei is a good character for that. He can block, I think. Yep. This is gonna be another weird one where the majority, it's kind of like Pot versus any character, where Potemkin players are gonna feel like every matchup sucks ass. But then Pot at least has the reward of, well, if I get in, I win. Especially versus characters that are low health, like Zato. Slayer's actually kind of like that too, where if you look at this matchup, and this set specifically, and how like, much difficulty he seems to be having navigating neutral, it's gonna kind of look like that, but that comparison is a little bit limited in that Slayer actually has a lot of ways to get around the drill, and a lot of the neutral tools that Zato has. It's just like a lot of other matchups in this game where you have to first learn what options you have, and then you can do whatever you're quote-unquote supposed to do in the matchup. I think Zato in general has a lot of those. Here's one small example, which is a Slayer just cannot be unblockable mid-screen. It is impossible. unless you cross him up, which is what I do usually. But still, that is pretty considerable. There we go, I'm getting used to it. Generally speaking, though, I do think that on the scale of how fun it is to play the game, it's definitely it definitely leans on the side of Slayer more than Zato. Even when I'm playing Slayer, most matchups are just really fun to play. I can't really say that about Zato at all. Alright, I'm supposed to, I think, damn thing. But again, every single problem, I think, that I have with the game, well actually not every single problem, but most problems that I have with the game just have to do with the fact that there's not enough people playing the game. That's about it. Like if you were to pick other issues, there are other issues. Like I don't like that I have to mash to tech. I think that if you have like the French bread, like you just hold a button to tech, that would be an objective improvement to the game. So there's one. But generally speaking, I don't have a lot of complaints about the game. And the few things that I do have issues with, like not being able to find matches fast enough when I want to, like that's the thing where just a larger player base would aid in. Go, do neutral for me. Alright, it did neutral for me. You've done your job.
Turn up the heat.
It is burst safe at the end. I don't know if he knows that.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
See, you'd think normally when you see Executor and the amount of hits it does, you'd think, oh, this move is actually pretty good at Guts Crushing. And then you look at the actual game, and you notice how much damage that actually did. It's neither a high damage move nor a Guts Crush move. It's just bad at damage, period. Like, it's cool that they put an incentive to it doing more hits if you're further away from the corner. But then, like, the actual damage that you get is so low.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock. Duel. Two. Keep on rocking.
Here's a fun fact. When he had full bar there after he gold bursted, he can actually kill me from one hit.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
I think a lot of the strategies from Slayers to try to stall in the air with J2K, it's probably not as good versus Zato. Like, in the sense that you deal with Eddy Gauge, that's fine. But I think you can do that on the ground also. It's like you're doing a good thing, but you're also spending... You're like putting yourself in a worse position while doing it. Oh, oops. Oh, here's another issue, which is there's so many people who say things like, "Oh, I've never played versus Zato before," so either it's one of two types. One is please switch off Zato and play someone else, or they play like 5 games and then leave. And both cases are very undesirable. I feel stunted playing you. And so I think partly this is why I started to make videos like... There's one video I made, which was like Baiken versus... It was like advice for a Baiken player on Discord. And it showed like a bunch of character specifics that you can do versus Zato. Like I need people to have their basics down if they want to find these matches to be productive.
Zato versus Slayer. Get ready to
I'll tell him to voice chat if he wants after this.
let's rock. Duel 2. Keep on rocking. It's not over yet. Reject it.
Yeah, there's also not a lot of matchups where I feel like you can do mid-screen buzzsaw and have it work out. I think Slayer is one of them. Like there's also Soul, kind of.
Hey, what's up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Alright, cool. So, what do you think your difficulties are?
I feel like you are letting me hang myself, essentially, because I feel like the way I navigate, I'm just running into things, and I feel like when I hang back a little bit and just let the eddy gauge run out, I tend to have more success that way because you don't have your available resources, but I think I'm just having a hard time navigating against you, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I'm running against all your drills all the time.
Yeah, so I think... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to BDC jump
Mhm.
off of all your drills. That is even, right?
It is... Do you mean frame advantage? It is 0 on block, the drill.
Oh, okay.
So I think that you're missing... There are some matchups in this game that just require you to have tools practice beforehand. And Slayer, I think, unfortunately, for this matchup, there are things that you just need to know beforehand. And
Sure.
let me show you a few things. So I'll screen share.
Sure.
Zato 1.
Actually,
Slayer. Zato 1.
can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Slayer versus.
When did he start playing, by the way?
Get ready to rock.
About a year ago.
I see. And other fighting games?
Not really.
I see. Just started with Vectored?
Yeah, pretty much.
I see. Okay. So a lot of times you'll see close drill. So he has 2 drills. Close drill, far drill. They always happen at a proportional distance from where Zato is. So it's not
Right.
like it's not something that like locks onto your position. But essentially, Zato will often do the close drill in neutral if he feels like you are going to approach him. So this is for any character that he faces. That's not necessarily Slayer. Slayer can actually punch through this drill. Oops, not that.
Right.
Like that. So it's not actually... It looks very precise. It's not actually that precise. So if you practice it
Yeah.
for like one day maybe, you'll have it down pretty consistently. And it's
Yeah,
actually pretty important for the matchup.
Palmucker is pretty big, yeah.
Okay, there we go. So you can't do this. You can't do Mappa through it, unless you're trying to hit him before the drill box actually becomes active. But then at that point, it's a read more than anything.
Right.
The second thing
So,
is generally there are two weak spots that Zato has. They both have similar animations. One is drill, so notice how he puts his arm up during this animation.
Right.
And the second one is summon, and you'll notice again that he actually puts his arm upwards during this. And the reason that is important is because his hurt box actually extends upwards quite massively during that. So if you're looking for an opening, and also he's counter state for all this time. So until you see this jump, until that jump begins, he is counter states. So basically what this means is if you are trying to get in against Zato, you should be aiming for one of these two spots, whether he's doing drill or summoning Eddie, or unsummoning Eddie.
Okay.
Now that kind of leads to a different problem, which is, well, if he's summoning Eddie, a lot of times he'll be summoning Eddie using this.
Yeah, I was about to say.
This is an anti-air, and it's specifically to stop you from trying to get in when he's doing summon. But just keep in mind that when he does this, like when he does summon into this anti-air, he's actually spending a pretty significant amount of Eddie gauge to do so. So look at the gauge on the bottom right. It doesn't look like a lot, but if you put it in perspective, like that's one less move I can do out of maybe 3 per summon. So that is one thing to keep in mind. And so now, because you know for a fact that a lot of times when I want to summon, when Zato wants to summon, he'll be using that move. And now what can you do with that information?
Well, is Eddie, like, hittable during that attack at all?
Yes, he has a very big hurt box.
Okay, so...
So when Zato thinks that you're going to approach him, and approach him in a way that this anti-air attack will counter you, you can make him think you're going to approach, but instead actually target Eddie. So keep in mind that Zato, when Eddie is unavailable, he is the weakest character in the game, by far.
Right.
So it depends on the character a bit, but for some characters, it's their best interest to target Eddie more so than to target Zato directly. It depends on who it is.
And Slayer's one of those characters?
Slayer can opt to go straight for Zato, just because of his damage, mainly. It tends to depend based on your character's damage. Like, Pot also can kind of ignore... Well, he can't ignore Eddie, but if he didn't have his limitations, he would go for Zato, as opposed to going for Eddie. And then some other examples are, like Ino can also ignore Eddie, but that's more because of her ability. But anyways, Slayer can do both, but it depends on the way you want to play. So you have a lot of good tools. 2D is... Any sort of slide in this game is really good at dealing with Eddie. 2D, Mei 3K...
I believe the hitbox for Slayer's 2D, it goes away if he hits Eddie, right? So...
Yeah, it does. So if I do this... Actually, let's do... This trades. Okay. It does go away, so I can't hit... Oops. I can't hit Zato with it afterwards. Something you can do is you can actually YRC.
Okay.
But you have to do it pretty early, because if you wait a little bit too long, it turns into a PRC. But it's still good to keep in mind. Your slide is on the worst end of all slides that are in the game for the purpose of dealing with Zato's summon. Because other characters like Mei's slide is really good at dealing with this, because you can YRC at pretty much any given point, even near the end. Kai's Stun Dipper, I'm gonna consider that a slide also. Kai's Stun Dipper is also really, really good at dealing with it. Yours is a slide. It's not the best slide, but it is there, so it's good to keep in mind. 2H you're using also, that's also pretty good. It is behind you too, by the way, which I think you know. So if I have it behind you, like this, 2H will kill it. Do you know about Puddle?
Yeah.
Okay.
The art...
And you know that you can hit it to get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Cool. For your case, you'll want to be using 2K or 2H, mostly. I think 2H killed it, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while. Yeah, it does. Hold on. Yeah, it does. Okay. So 2k, 2h.
I also feel like I was trying to, like you being directly above me.
Yeah, this is a problem that a lot of people have. So if I am doing like this, I'm trying to bait your anti-air basically, like whether it's 5p, 6p, whatever. The answer to flight is not anti-air. It is to throw in the air. You want to jump up and then throw them.
Okay.
And it depends on the, like obviously it depends on the height that he's at. But generally, if he's doing flight in that kind of in that kind of way, it's because he's trying to be directly above where your anti-air will reach, which means that you can also throw him pretty easily. Because he is going to be at like this range usually. And you can see that like this range is pretty easy to just jump and throw.
Right.
So, and that's not to say you can't anti-air, because there will be times where he goes for the flight, he pretends as if he's gonna bait your anti-air, but then just go down and start doing his pressure. In those cases, like essentially it's a mix, kind of. You'll want to choose between doing an anti-air and doing the throw. But generally speaking, you want to show your opponent, you want to show the Zato the throw first, and then you can go back to doing your anti-air sometimes.
What does he get if he lands a jump and move in that scenario? Like, say he like baits out the anti-air. Like,
He gets a knockdown.
It's like knockdown. Sure.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the angle, but he gets a knockdown, and knockdowns are very bad for Zato. His character is designed in a way where he has difficulty, relatively, he has difficulty getting knockdowns, but the reward of each knockdown that he gets is higher. Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So you don't want to give him random knockdowns, especially when it comes to drills at the end of pressure. So a lot of times, this is like a very common example of how a block string will end. He'll finish it off with a drill. Now there's things you can do, depending on the normal that he uses, but there is something to be said about how it's kind of also another mix here where he will either do drill, and that kind of ends his pressure in a safe way, a quote-unquote safe way, or instead he'll do this, where he summons Eddie instead of going for the drill. And note how I said safe earlier when it came to the drill. It's because this other option of summoning Eddie is not safe. So whenever you see Zato summon Eddie during a block string, so like he goes from a state of not having Eddie up to having Eddie up, and it happens during a block string, that's always unsafe.
Okay.
There's one exception, where he does this instead. Oops. And I can't... Oh, oops. So I'm mashing between that, but I can't actually get my button out, because this actually is safe. But if he goes for this, then that means that he can't get his pressure after, because he doesn't have enough frame advantage. So essentially, Zato has to choose one of two things. If Zato chooses to summon Eddie during a block string, number one, he will regain pressure, but it'll be unsafe, in the sense that Eddie can die by you mashing. Or number two, he gets his safe summon, but he can't guarantee the pressure afterwards. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's really important as a general anti-Zato thing. So whenever you see Zato do like this kind of thing on you, that is unsafe in the sense that you can mash there to kill Eddie.
Right.
Whenever you see let me set him to block. Like no matter what I do, because I do a lot of this, it's where I summon Eddie mid-block string, I make him walk forward, so it's a delay, and then I do a move. And so the time that is spent with Eddie moving forwards, that's time you could be mashing to kill Eddie. But yeah, for Slayer purposes, I think the Mappa thing, I don't play enough Slayer. This thing is really important, so do keep in mind to try out later.
Sure. I hadn't really considered that because a lot of times I was doing dandy in neutral, I was just getting clipped by drills.
Yeah, if you show Dandy a lot in neutral, that's actually kind of easy for me to deal with because drills are
Right.
good at dealing with this movement, which is just constantly being on the ground and moving horizontally. It's really good for drill to catch. What's more difficult to catch is if you're just using your dash more. Like if you're doing this, it's a lot. Number one, it's a lot more unpredictable for me, and number two, you cover actually a greater amount of distance in a faster time. So I would say, generally speaking, less of this and more of this.
Negative penalty.
Do you want more games, or were you done for today?
Well, no, that pretty much stunted me for now.
I see.
It's a little bit of a information overload. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate the games though. It's a nice perspective
Mm-hmm.
to hear from as well because I hadn't really looked at the character that way.
Yeah, and super usage also, I think. Well, actually, I'll leave that to you because I think you should ask a Slayer player. But generally speaking, I think when you can super and it's like a high damage option, you should lean towards it more when you're playing versus Zato.
So in the situation where you're doing Pile Bunker to counteract drill, you could also do Dead on Time probably because that moves pretty big too.
Yep. Because Zato, so especially when he's at higher health, because if you hit him with a single hit move
Right.
at a high HP percentage, you get to skip a lot of guts.
Or man's made of paper. Yep.
Yeah.
This is you.
Okay. Yeah, that's about it for me.
All right. Thanks for the games. You have a good rest of your night, man.
No problem. You too.
Bye.
Wow, what a productive voice call. Let's see who else is available. Oh, he was watching. Okay, I see. No problem. You got me at a good time where I am now focusing on playing Zato. Normally I would be playing some other random character. Guess we will have to go to a, God forbid, public lobby.
Online.
Been wishing this for a long time now. I want to see lobbies that are full in this list because it's so demotivating when you see like this kind of thing, where there could be like 5 full lobbies right now for this region, but you just don't see them because they're all full. And when you're a new player and you go and people tell you, oh, you should use the player rooms because that's where everyone is, and then you see this. Like, it would at least be very nice to be able to see how many are ongoing. Okay. I got someone. Apparently people are playing Soku in my region. Let's see.
We've got it covered.
Okay. Oh, it's another Slayer.
Versus Slayer. Get ready to heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
So you'll see all these spots where I make Eddie move forwards after I summon him. Those are all unsafe.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Actually kills here.
Duel. All or nothing.
Unfortunate. I wanted the forward air dash. I think he actually kind of had the right idea at the beginning, more so than now. Where now he's, I think, kind of waiting too much. And I don't just say that because of the danger time. Not the danger time, the negative penalty. Oh. Oh, okay. That burst is supposed to be before the it's late.
Duel. Two. Keep on rocking. Counter. It's not over yet.
Oh, okay. See, I thought his JH would throw me, so I need to error throw tech.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One.
I guess sometimes I need to actually press JK or like JP. But then the problem with that is not enough people go for the air throw to begin with. I think I died, yeah. It's 100 meter in the corner against Slayer.
Duel. Turn up the heat. It's not over yet.
Oh, I'm dead. Oh, where's the dot? Earlier. I think he fucked up. He tried to do it.
Heaven or hell.
Okay.
Duel. One. Let's rock.
I think some of my buttons are actually kind of sticking. I probably need to clean them.
All or nothing.
Zato 60.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Next one stuns. Not anymore. If you get counter hit maybe like 2 or 3 times in the air like that, depending on the character, you generally get stunned afterwards. Like one more stun. No burst.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Oh, so close. That would have traded, and I think that would have maybe double KO'd the 2H.
Turn up the heat.
One sec.
Duel. Three.
Okay.
All or nothing.
It's not gonna work. Oh, it worked. Kind of. Okay, he didn't tech, so it counted. That's fine. But that's a height where you actually just can't use Executor ever. You don't want to use it there. He's too high up. Does that work? It does. Okay.
All or nothing.
Oh, I'm dead. GG. This is kind of the stage where, from the Zato perspective, things start to get kind of annoying because now, when people hit you, it actually means a lot when people hit you because the one hit that they get means okay, they have all this Oki that they're more or less guaranteed now. Like they're not gonna fuck it up now. Plus, like the damage is also guaranteed, and now you're kind of playing the matchup in the way that it's intended to. And when you're starting to do that with Zato, things don't really look so good for you. Like things are really good for Zato when you can abuse the fact that people don't know what you do. Although that's not to say that in this case the Slayer is aware of like everything that Zato does. It's kind of like when people start to be showing you options like this, like, okay, once I get my knockdown, I'm gonna show you that number one, I can do my OK very reliably, and number two, I can guarantee a set amount of damage. When that's the case, you start having some options locked away that you can't do anymore. And with Zato, those things that you can't do anymore are really good for him. Like, more so than a lot of other characters. wasted either. Okay. Fun fact, if Eddie is alone outside, so Eddie's summoned outside, there's no 2 moves he can do consecutively that is like a frame trap. So if Eddie is like that far in to where you are, and then Zato is far away, like further away than Fardril, just mash, and you will kill Eddie. Eddie can't like frame trap you by himself. I think I know what this Slayer needs to do now. So what you're gonna see now is it's a lot of like things that are a response to what the player sees me do, and this is kind of problematic because in this game there are a lot of things that you can't react to after looking at. So instead, what you really want to be doing in regard to a lot of things is you want to assume that your guess as to what the opponent is going to do is correct, and then make your move with the assumption that, again, what you think your opponent is going to do is correct. So this basically translates to being a read. You're not gonna react to anything, but based on what you've seen so far, you're gonna make an assumption that, okay, this player is gonna do like something unsafe that I can I-80 over and punish. The problem is that a lot of times, the thing that they do that is punishable is not reactable. Like, you can't see that the person is doing that thing and then do it, because at that point it'll be too late. So you have to have it in your mind, okay, I know that this player can, number one, they can do this option, okay, I know that this exists. And then number two, I know that that exists, and I know that this player wants to do it at this point of time. So when you know both things, you can now make reads, essentially. Oh. Okay. Maybe he just threw, because he felt so bad about the Executor.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock. Duel 2. Keep on rocking.
Close to stun again. I need like 2 more hits. So after this, switch it stun. There we go.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
You know, Zato feels really good to play when the game doesn't bullshit you with some awful hitbox decisions made by Daisuke like 5 years ago. When you imagine something happening because you've done it in the past, and you go for it and it works as intended, man, what a good feeling. And like usually it has to do with either 5H counter hitting, which like sometimes, for some god forbidden reason, makes your reward worse for counter hitting, or 2D just not working. It's like those two are the main culprits, and then there are some others also. I think the 2D hitbox is by far more tilting than anything else that he has. Like make the pixels maybe like 2 pixels wider. It'll be fine. I saw that in Rev 3, which is like a fan-made expansion to the game. They made 2D so that your character shifts forwards during 2D, and that's kind of a weird trade-off. I don't think it's very good. Like I think they did it in response to the fact that 2D is just so short. That kind of messes up some other things. Stop that, please.
Duel 3. Keep on rocking.
At least I saved Eddie. Oh, I'm dead.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
too unsafe. You can't burst there. If you get counter hit by Nobiru and you want to burst, you better be waiting for a bit. Like until at least I make my jump. And after I do maybe 1 or 2 air normals. I really wish I had the higher damage executor from Pulsar. Like as a way to do more damage in the air, that'd be nice. And you saw that correctly, even though I got a hit during danger time, it's worth more for Zato to just let it sit and not do anything. Because the knockdown is just that valuable. It's like if you think about what he can do, you get a air combo, which is maybe like at max 150 damage from that point. So it's like, would you rather have 150, or would you rather have the knockdown with Eddie? And it turns out the vast majority of the time, you would prefer to just get the knockdown. Oh, it doesn't kill, holy shit. What happened to my damage?
Turn up the heat.
It's okay. Needs to be done earlier, but the problem is there actually is an OS that Zato can do that does deal with the first possible burst or gold burst. I don't remember which one. But like the issue from my perspective is that OS is really hard to do, so don't go for it. L2D.
Turn up the heat. Turn up the heat.
If he gets Meteor, I die for sure. Oh! Okay, it's fine. I thought for some reason, when I do blitz attack, he would get wall thumped, or like just stick to the wall in the air. It's been too long. Oh. I think I would have killed if I made the combo. At that point, the hand is more or less guaranteed.
Heaven or hell. Duel. 1. Let's rock.
All the conditions have been met. Opponent's about to die, but it's like at an HP threshold where he'll die from the hand. The round has gone on for a long time. And I haven't used it yet in the set. Probably a lot higher HP than he wanted to use that at. Oh, okay. I can't believe he's actually going for it. Like trying to bait the burst. I feel like he cannot really afford to do that right now. Rip. Like I think from his perspective, getting the burst would be better than trying to do something like lose your round advantage.
Duel. 2. All or nothing. Duel. 3. All or nothing.
It's taking a lot longer for me to get back to what I feel like
Heaven or hell. Duel. 1.
my comfort level is with the character. I thought maybe if I played for like 2 days or so, I'd be back. I'm still having like a lot of issues where things are not quite there yet. What was that? Blitz?
Duel 2. All or nothing. 2 3. All or nothing.
well, I kind of accomplished what I wanted to do, which was throw. So I guess it was good enough. Oh, okay. That works, usually, but I don't know if it works at that hit count. Like, you can just do raw 2D Executor on the ground.
Duel 2. Keep on rocking.
And the kills.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
So early, what? Oh, 2D. See, any other character that you play, you don't have this issue.
All or nothing.
You want to do the easiest possible knockdown route possible, like 5p 2D. The game just says, no, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to have nice things sometimes. Weird. Although you do have to do weird things because things so far have not been working. Poor choice. Don't blitz drill, usually. Or if you are gonna blitz drill, you need to tap blitz twice. So you need 50. It's kind of like Ino notes, where you can blitz it, but generally speaking, you have to blitz it twice. So you tap blitz twice, and then the second one rejects. Because you have to wait until Ino's close by. The second one usually means Ino will be close enough. Oh. Did you see that? He backdashed into the drill. All these Slayer players who think that their backdash is like their god-given rights, and they're invulnerable for the entire time that they use it. It's good, but it's not quite that good. Wow, / anti-air. Very uncommon.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Here's another problem I had, which was whenever I play this game, I don't remember the vast majority of what actually happened during the game, because I think like unconsciously what I'm thinking is if I have things in my memory of the games that occurred, like it tends to, I think it affects me negatively more than it helps me. So like I'll remember things like, okay, this player likes to do certain things as a response to my certain things, but I don't remember like at what point they did it, or like how exactly, what like the timeline of the matches were like in terms of what moves were used, that kind of stuff. And I think like it's good for tournaments, because during tournaments you want to try to not think about things as much as possible. So like things that happened, you don't want to dwell on it too much. So it really helps for tournaments. And I think when it comes to like people asking for advice or things like that, it's a little it's lagging. It's a little unfortunate that the response I have to give, if I want to give like very valuable feedback, is you have to look at the mod first. But I think it helps anyways. A lot of people need to look at their own mods more. That works. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, I died. Holy shit. I didn't know I would be one to die.
Duel 3. Turn up the heat.
Okay. Okay. Here's the thing. So he knows, he knows very roughly speaking, when I want to do things that cause me to be momentarily disadvantageous, like doing drill or doing summon. Like he has an okay idea of when I want to do that. The problem is that I also know when he knows that I want to do that. So when I know, for example, that like, let's say that I want to do summon, he knows that I want to do summon, so he's gonna try to interrupt my summon. So because I have that knowledge, I'm gonna counter his approach to my summon, which can be like a summon into instant Nobiru, the anti-air, or it can be like a Bliss or whatever defensive move that I put out there, like 2H even. So now that I'm doing that, I need to see a response to my counter. So a response to my counter could be something like a move that kills Eddie upon summoning. Like if I do Nobiru, he does like a P Mappa and it kills Eddie, like that kind of thing. Because once I see that, now okay, I can't just defend myself against his approach anymore, as I have been doing this whole set. So I can't just defend against myself. I also have to consider, okay, if he knows that I want to defend myself, and he's going to act upon that, then I need to deal with that also. Which means I can't summon Eddie anymore in that spot. Kind of. But generally speaking, people stop at like the first 1 or 2 steps. Oh. Oh, that kills. I think I wouldn't have backdashed if I knew it would kill.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock. Duel 2. Turn up the heat.
And you know, the funniest thing is that issue of like trying to think about what I know and what I want to act upon, and then doing a counter to that. That's a Strive problem, where everyone that plays Strive is actually having those issues more so than like the issues you would think of when you're playing Xrd. The Xrd issues are, for the vast majority of people, it's I can't execute this thing that I need to do. Like I can't do this Oki because it's mechanically difficult. Or it can be like this combo is just too hard. That'll be an easy example. So those types of things, and like there are too many mechanics that are convoluted and that kind of stuff. But Strive Strive skips a lot of that, so they've gotten rid of a lot of the mechanical difficulty of the game. But that only means that if you're playing, if you have like 2 beginner players or 2 like quote-unquote intermediate players, the issues that they're having are like the issues that we or like this Slayer player has right now, which is I need to think of what my opponent wants to do, and then counter that until the point comes where my opponent realizes what I want to do against their wants, and then you start to like go through these loops. And that is, I think, what like the supposed beginners of Strive are having to deal with, which is a much harder thing to deal with than like, oh, I just can't do this combo. Like I think Strive players have a harder time playing fighting games than Exeter players. Like if you pick any given skill bracket and you talk about how like the types of difficulty that they're having, I think Strive has more difficult problems that the game provides you than this game. Very ironic because like the whole thing about Exert is that, or Exert or any of the older games, is that oh, these are like much harder games supposedly, but they're not really that much harder. Like the improvement that it takes you to get from beginner to intermediate and from intermediate to advanced, like those improvements are going to be actually a lot easier to achieve than in Strive. Oh, okay. Early draw. I really didn't want to use bursts. Honestly, okay, it's been like 2-3 years since Strive has launched. I actually feel bad for people who got baited into playing Strive because it was like it was supposedly like the easier fighting game. I really don't think it is. I think Strive is probably harder to improve in than in this game. Like on a very fundamental level. Oh, I fucked up. It's okay. Like ask yourself, how do you improve in Strive? It's not really gonna be like, oh, you need to do this combo better. Or like some characters it's gonna be like that, but most characters, like you're playing Sol or Mei in that game, and you ask yourself, how do I get better? And it really isn't, okay, I need to learn these combos or these confirms or these character specifics or these system mechanics. It's just like, how do I play fighting games better? Like, how do I play RPS better? And that is really hard. Oh. Hello, Then, and hello, sorta human. What does the title mean? It means to play Guilty Gear. Not actually. Oh. I'm okay, yeah. In Korean, so Korean also has Chinese characters in their language, like in the same way that in Japanese you have kanji. So they have basically the same thing, where words, like especially nouns, and even verbs and all that good stuff, a lot of them are based on characters that exist in China. But unlike kanji, in Korean, when you have a Chinese character, you also have like a descriptor of the Chinese character before it. So let's say like you have the word for tree. Like in Korean, if you have just the word for tree, it's pronounced mo, which is like the Chinese version of the word namu. So namu is the Korean version of the word tree, and then mok is the Chinese version of it. So when you're describing the character for tree, like the Chinese character for tree, and you're like trying to describe the letter for it specifically, you actually say namu mok. So it's the word first in Korean, and then the word in Chinese. So it's namu mok. And they both mean tree.
Turn up the heat.
And in the same vein, the title says Kir Har Kir. And Kir is an abbreviated form of Guilty Gear. And the Har means to do. So we just turned a Chinese character that means something entirely different into the Chinese character for to play Guilty Gear. If someone made a Deep Blue AI for this game and a main chip, do you think it'd always immediately burst or it'd never burst ever? I think it'd probably gold burst. Like, I think any AI that you make for this game that is like playing very optimally, it would go for gold bursts probably all the time until like you show it that okay, you can actually throw it. Oh, where's Eddie? When you need him. Where's the burst? I think it blocks it, right? It does. Nice. There's so many times where it's so unreliable to use Eddie as a shield. Where sometimes he just passes through it and nothing happens to Eddie. Sometimes you both get hit instantly, like at the same time. Very unreliable, unlike Oppose. I wish I had Oppose in this game. Save for that one guy on Discord who was saying like, oh, listen, Eddie in this game is basically a one-hit Oppose. Man, I was so sad when I heard that. It's not true. It's not true at all. It's not how you treat Eddie. He's not he's not single hit Oppose. He can do so much more than that. You know, funnily enough, I do mention every now and then that like this matchup is one of those where it looks really bad for the opponents of Zato. But it's actually not too bad, because the issues that he has are he has kind of limited mobility, and he has a lot of movement that makes him stay on the ground while traversing horizontally, and that's kind of really good for Drill to deal with. But then you find out that like he actually has pretty good tools to deal with Drill. Sometimes. So I think it's actually pretty even. Like that just now, the Dandy into the Drill. He was actually trying to do a thing where the Dandy actually bypassed the Drill, and he can do that pretty reliably. Oh. 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 See how he did nothing there while Eddie was moving forwards? That's a big mistake. Oh, I'm okay. Also, he doesn't know the kill Eddie tech. I think he knows to kill Eddie. It's just that I've been moving Eddie so that he doesn't die. Like not right now, but like I've done so too many times in the past that he doesn't bother anymore. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Very surprising to see that 2D hit. You know, I would have expected at this point that that 2D actually whiffs entirely. There we go, finally. Please, let it work. It's not gonna work. It's gonna work. It's not gonna work. That's the coolest combo Zato has. And it only works if you side dust from the middle of the screen. Like the middle of the map. It's actually why I chose this map. Because this map shows you exactly where the middle is. So if you pick like Japan, I actually get nerfed because I can't tell where the middle is. Slides are really good versus Zato. You can look at the rocks actually. Oh, maybe I can. I know there are some landmarks like that you can use, but I haven't bothered. I just stay on trainer mode.
Let's rock.
I think I've shown him enough times that the J2K thing isn't gonna work. It's been too long. I wanted to do jump cancel into blitz. What a horrible position to be in.
Turn up the heat.
Not that it's his fault, but 1 HP versus Zato, and he has Eddie up. Not good. See that just now? You can do that really reliably, the Mappa. Or the Dandy into the Power Bunker. And it just ignores the drill. It's very consistent.
Turn up the heat.
Oh, 2D, okay. It's not gonna kill, but I think I... Oh wait, it does kill, okay. I see. It's good to know. My sense of damage and how much damage I think I'm gonna do has really eroded over time. Like my sense of stun and when I think things will stun, that's still fine, I think, it seems like. And in terms of, oh, this is gonna kill, or this is gonna do this amount of damage, that kind of thing has kind of lost the sense for that. No super? Why is he not using super?
Duel 2. Keep on rocking. It's not over yet.
You gotta block until the end. That's 3 hits.
Duel 3. All or nothing. First match. It's not over yet.
Bad burst. Don't burst 2D, ever. Oh. Trying to look for the dead angle there.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Actually, I think it's probably not a good idea. Because Slayers are gonna super making that spot always. Haven't I taught you this lesson already? You can't J2K like that and expect good things. Well, okay, that's fine. Could have DA when Eddie was still dead. It's possible too.
Duel 2. Keep on rocking.
How many times do I have to tell you this? Ah, okay. That was a little bit too ambitious. That needs me to play the game for at least like 5 days in a row before I can reliably do it.
Let's rock. 多少の心得はあるか。
See, this is the most fun part of Zato in this game. It's not like doing combos or doing knockdowns or doing okay. It's just playing neutral. It's very fun. And you can't replicate it with any other character.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
By the way, I noticed that now that I'm actually back to streaming a bit more. I noticed that Twitch has gotten a lot worse with its ads recently. And I think it's bypassing some of the common ad blockers that basically everyone has. So I think that most people, I could be mistaken, but I think most people, if they have the choice, they would prefer to watch streams on YouTube as opposed to on Twitch.
Duel. Two. Keep on rocking.
Which is why it's set up right now. And I think it's gonna keep happening because it's also really useful for just having the VOD automatically saved. So I don't think this is gonna happen, but if it comes to the point where something tells me like I need to choose one over the other, I think it has to be YouTube. Oh, I'm dead. I'm not dead. Yeah, YouTube is way better for watching streams, for sure. I agree.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Especially if you have the, you know, the thing where you can like seek backwards during a live stream. I think for fighting game stuff, or like for game stuff in general, that's really useful to have, like from a watching perspective. I don't know if I don't know if I have that set up right now. I know you can choose, but I don't recall seeing that option anywhere. So I don't know if it's available or not. I hope it is. Should've killed. You can OTG pretty easily.
Duel. Two. Keep on rocking.
If the Nobiru hits there during the combo, that kills, but a little bit too high up. Actually, let me check. Oh no, after this round.
Let's rock.
Shadow Gallery on some characters who are standing, the second hit will reach. Slayer is one of them. If you think your character is tall, it probably counts. Oh, nice. He got crossed up in the worst way possible. That's a lot of damage. Actually dead. Oh, one sec.
Duel. 3. Turn up the heat.
Oh, game I unsummoned. Too far. You can't do that. I'm out of reach. Oh shit. Hold on.
Heaven or hell. Duel. 1.
Okay, I can't.
Let's rock.
Next game, I'm gonna check my YouTube setting real quick. Is he trying to throw my burst? It's you can't do that.
Duel. 2. All or nothing.
Okay, good. I think you can seek backwards. Go. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, yeah. It didn't quite do what I wanted to do. Okay, good.
Duel. 1. Let's rock.
there. I think he blocks. Yep. What a super. Is that AK or taunt? It was either one of those.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Where's my throw?
Duel. Two. Keep on rocking.
Glad I didn't see a burst there at least during the 2D. Earlier during the set, I did see that. No burst still.
Mortal counter.
That's not good. That's good. That's great. Okay. There's definitely this thing that happens where if you have a lot of meter, like you have 100 meter there, like he did, you're in the corner, you're about to die. You want to spend your meter on something like a super so badly that he forgets to FD. And it's usually at timings where you're both low HP, so it really feels bad.
Two. All or nothing.
No knockdown? And you know why that didn't knock down? It's because it countered it. So it reduces the pushback on the move. So it doesn't give you enough distance for the far draw to reach. It's one of the most questionable design decisions about the character in this game. If they made it so the counter hit 5H, the first hit, hit the same pushback as non-counter hit, that would be a lot better. Or like make it do something even cooler, I don't know. Like if it detects the counter hit, make it do only one hit, and make it stagger, I guess, or something like that.
Duel 2. All or nothing.
See that? Killing Eddie and killing Zato? I think I don't burst. Yeah.
Duel 3. All or nothing.
You can't do that. You can't keep doing that and expect good things to happen.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
No bursts. Would have been good if he did. For me.
Duel 2. Turn up the heat.
I think I stopped at 50 wins. So 9 more.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock. Duel 2. All or nothing. Just win. Duel 3. All or nothing. It's not over yet.
追い打ちが遅いよ。追い打ちが遅いか。追い打ちが。
Oh, the blitz didn't come out fast enough. I knew he was either gonna reset into like a normal, or he was gonna do the overhead.
Duel. One. Let's rock.
追い打ちが遅いよ。
Am I dead? I am. Damn.
Duel. Two. All or nothing. Duel. Three. Turn up the heat.
捕まえ。いかがか。さあ、
I don't do that summon into Buzzsaw that much, but it is good when it works. Like if it doesn't get punished, it is a good option.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
追い打ちが遅い。
Duel. Two. Keep on rocking.
No FD for any of them.
Duel. Three. Keep on rocking.
いかがか。攻撃。届かぬね。 きませんよ深刻な行動感行動感追い打ちが追い打ちが遅いよ踊る感を見せよいかぬかねいかぬ聞きませんよ聞きませんよ要するにはいかんよいかぬかね
Well, I think if he does 5p twice, maybe I get pushed far out enough that I can burst. But it's really hard to react to.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
I think I win. There we go.
Duel. Two. Turn up the heat.
The throw.
Duel. Three. Keep on rocking.
Okay. For these last like 8 games or so,
Heaven or hell. Duel.
let me do something a little bit different.
Rock. Duel. Two. Turn up the heat.
ったよ。
No more J2Ks.
私はこのようなありさまになった。
Heaven
See, it's in my best interest to tell him that if you do J2K like that, you lose that round.
Duel 2. Keep on rocking.
攻撃スクラムへ引きませんか引きません
Don't do that. Do not J2K like that.
私はこのようなありさまになった
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Actually, the best way to stop him from doing that is if I just switch characters to like pot, and then I can then I can heavenly, and he'll not do it. Limited to when I play pot, but still.
引きません攻撃
Duel 2.
I kind of wish I were playing pot right now.
スクラムへさあ引きませんよそこで行動
Might trade. Nope. Do not. Absolutely do not.
Duel 3. Turn up the heat.
I think he didn't know that that would kill. I think that's probably why he didn't burst.
私はこのようなありさまにな
Heaven or hell.
The combo, it's true that that combo does not do a lot of damage, usually. Of course. I'm dead. I'm not dead. Now I'm dead. He should have supered. I would have died really easily after the cold slash, force slash.
Duel 2. Turn up the heat.
I think that was a
Turn up the heat.
some special move, and it wasn't Blitz because it didn't cost meter. I think one more counter hit combo and I stun him. It didn't matter.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
It's so simple. If you don't exist, you can't get hit.
Turn up the heat.
It's a high IQ play. Does Strides also have Break the Law? I think he does. Actually, yeah, I think for sure he does.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Either that or it's his taunt, because I know his taunt goes underground. So it could be confusing the two.
Duel 2. All or nothing.
センチ強いよそ見はいかんよ
Not over yet.
いかなきゃ
My throw attack. My burst. It's okay.
Duel 3. Turn up the heat.
衝動だ引きませんよ
He's figured one thing out now, which is that if I do 2S 5H, the Dandy actually goes far enough back that he can actually dodge the 5H entirely.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
さあ引きませんよ
But it's okay with me. This might fling him backwards. No, it's fine. The thing that happens when Zato does Executor and it makes the opponent go backwards for some reason, it happens because they're too high up. So like the game, somehow, with the way Executor is designed, if you're like not specifically at the within the range of acceptable heights, it'll just kind of make you fall off or fling you in the backwards direction. And both are very bad. It's like you spent 50 meter to number 1 lose your knockdown, and then number 2, because of the time it takes for you to land, you also get punished. So you just spent 50 meter to lose your earned knockdown, plus get hit after. It's horrible. And all that because of something that you arguably can't even control. Like the height at which the opponent is at, sometimes you don't really have control over something like that. Like, let's say someone gets hit mid-air. You can't really choose at which height you decide to enter them.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
And rightfully, in the light of No One Plays Auto video, that occurrence is highlighted multiple times.
Duel 2. All or nothing. Duel 3. All or nothing.
いかがかな
Heaven
Oh, it had to be done. My bad. there was no other option than to do it. To guarantee the kill, that was the only way.
Destroy.
Would have been nicer if that were the last game. Just one game off. You know what? I'm gonna burst. I think I can make it. I can't make it.
Duel. Two. Turn up the heat.
Big disclaimer, that was a bad burst, and I knew it was a bad burst. I'm stunned, holy shit. The 2D. Zato, please. Zato, please. It's okay.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
I think he beats me. He does. Okay.
Duel. Two. All or nothing. Duel. Three. Turn up the heat.
Where's my unsummon? Okay, it's over. It's finally done. There's no more. Okay. Well, I'm glad at least that I was, for once, able to find someone to play for more than like 10 games on stream. Let's see. Oh, and we'll do this as usual also before I go. Alright, it's October now. Okay. Do any of you have advice on how to play calm and consistently? I feel like recently, a lot of the time, I play in bracket and I get super flustered and end up losing because I can't calm myself down, so I would appreciate any advice. So I think for a lot of people will say like, oh, I have nerves and these nerves are causing me to lose. And it can be true. Let me pull up a... Actually, no, it's probably fine without it. So nerves are not something that you get rid of. They stay with you forever. And some people might get more nervous than others. That's true. But everyone has nerves, so you don't get rid of it, first of all. You can do things to reduce the nerves that you have. So for example, in like performance, there have been cases where people will emulate a stage. So they have a stage, they emulate people that are like sitting in the seats, and they pretend that they're up on stage and are performing as if it's the real thing. And this has turned out to be not entirely effective because the person knows in the back of their mind that, okay, this isn't actually real. It's just an emulation of something that I am trying to fix. So it doesn't really help to do that, per se. So the only thing you can really do, personally, I think that when I get nervous, or when I'm in a spot where something is at stake, like I go to a tournament, I pay to go there, I spent my time to go there, and it'll be good if I win, because that means I got a result, right? So there's the stakes are high, basically. When that's the case, personally, that helps me more than it distracts me, I think, because it helps in terms of reinforce what I already do, which is I forget things that happen in-game, which it turns out, again, is pretty good for tournaments, since I don't want to be dwelling on things that happened in the past, like in the past games in that set. So I don't think I really have that issue, but I can understand that other people do feel like nerves are ruining their play, and it could be true. Like physically, it can make you shake. You might be like hyperventilating, I don't know. But generally speaking, for most people, it's not so much a issue of how do I get rid of nerves, but it's kind of indirect in the sense that you want to lower the stakes. So the more tournaments you go to, the more like events or public places you go to play in, because usually that's where nerves are going to kick in, more so than like that play at home, even if it's tournaments. The more of these you go to, the more you start to realize that, okay, this actually isn't such a big deal that I lose here, because there are so many other tournaments that I can go to, that I am going to go to, that even if I lose this one, it's not actually like the end of the world for me. Now if you're in a spot where, like for some reason, you're going to a tournament, and that one tournament is what decides like something really important to you, then I think you're kinda left alone to deal with that. But generally speaking, for most people who go to tournaments, it's not a big deal. There are more tournaments you can go to, and like it's one thing to know that in your head, but it's another to like actually go to multiple tournaments yourself and like physically feel that like, okay, I've been here before, I've done this before, I'm going to be in this spot again in the future. So in other words, really it's just put yourself in that position more, and generally speaking, you do start to get better, I think. There's no real shortcut to it. Like some people like to eat like a banana, and it's supposed to help with nerves, and to some degree it might be true, but I don't think it's like a fundamental fix to your issues. Okay, it is 1:30. It is late. I'm going to bed. Wait, hold on. I think I have Maple Story first, and then I go to bed. Get good at playing like shit. That's a good way to put it. If you get used to playing under nerves, and that becomes your norm. And you can start to improve your norms. Okay, that's all. Goodbye. And I have a Discord server. I hope this is still alive. Discord. It is. Okay. If you click that invite button and go to the server, you can get live notifications on Discord. Amazing. Alright, that's all. Goodbye.